Greetings and welcome to the latest episode of the Vernon Richard Show, your fortnightly podcast where we talk about software testing and other related random nonsense. I'm Vernon,
And I'm Richard. Hello, everyone.
and this week is going to be a little bit different than the other sessions, isn't it? Because you put out a call for questions, didn't you?
I did. I've been inspired by
On LinkedIn.
the Rest is Football podcast where they do like ad hoc bonus AMA episodes, and I thought it would be quite good fun to answer some of them, and they will shape the conversation for us, and it's a good way for the audience to get involved and influence future episodes.
Yeah, so thank you to everyone who responded to the call for questions, whether that was on LinkedIn or whether you listened to the episode where we asked for questions. We've got some fantastic questions. The
We
trick
do.
now is going to be: do we have some fantastic answers? We'll let you be the judge of that, I suppose.
No football questions, which is good though for the people who don't want any of
Yeah.
any
Oh,
football banter. No football
yeah. I was
questions.
going to
So.
say thank you for the questions, but also thank you for the feedback. Got some really good feedback. Um, Hopefully you're still with us because I think there was a bit of football in the episode before this one.
There was a little bit.
So I hope you've come back.
We will
Fingers
keep. We
crossed.
will.
You're
We will
still.
make effort to keep the balance. There definitely won't. There definitely will still be football banter. There's football banter happening right now, but we'll keep a we'll keep it tight.
Mm.
Right. First
Yeah, man.
question then, Vernon. Do you want to start? Do you want to answer? Do you want to go first or second? We'll answer both ourselves, but like in terms of reading the questions
Yeah,
out.
I don't mind. Okay, so the first question is from, I hope I've got your name right, Joëlle Burkhardt. So if I mispronounced that, forgive me. Joëlle asks, what would you do if you weren't in software testing? So what would you do if you weren't in software testing, Richie Rich?
Oof, two things come to mind. So there was one that I wanted to do, which was I wanted to be a pilot. There's a Concorde right behind me. So I wanted to be a pilot.
That makes perfect sense.
Um, I couldn't be a pilot because of these. Well, not these, because of the thing behind these. My eyesight. So my eyesight wasn't good enough to be a pilot. I then
Ah,
tried to go into mechanical aviation engineering, basically, on a placement year, which didn't work out either. And then I went into computing. So I think a pilot was kind of the dream as a kid. If it wasn't in computing, I'd probably be a developer, would be my guess, if I was any other role within software. I do still very much enjoy coding. And then outside of that, if I was following my parents, like teaching or like DIY building like something really hands on. Like I've done I've done a lot of DIY, and I've done a lot of like large scale landscape. Well, I say a lot. I've done one very large scale landscaping project. But yeah, so I love I kind of feel like it would be something really hands on. Like I do love the physical activity of doing like a non-desk job where you like your feet are on fire and your hands are ripped to shreds at the end of the day. Like there's something very satisfying about that kind of work, but then doing that all year long, I don't know about that. How about you?
well, when I was younger, my plan was to be a football playing, hip hop MCing, video game designing astronaut. And
One of them, just
think
one on their own, not good
think
enough. Like you need all four to be fulfilled.
why am I doing one? Like I'm doing all of the things that are awesome. So that was my plan. Just to do all of those things. Uh so the hip hop MCing, the closest I got for that is I've got a load of friends who are DJs and MCs and producers. Um so they've made tracks, and the closest I got to that was one night a friend of mine, shout out to you, Kid Fresh, friend of mine, he DJs out in Ibiza all the time now, and but
Nice.
when we were at uni age, he was DJing in this club at a uni night, and he was digging. I just went with him, and he was digging around in the crates for some tunes, and just like gave me the mic, and I just started. I just started MC. It was
This is
Man,
why
it
you
was
love
so
MCing, I
good.
see.
It
This is
was
where all
so
the
good.
dancing comes from at these conferences.
It was
It makes sense now.
too good. I got such man. I was buzzing. I got like it was such a infinitesimally small whiff of a shadow of a sniff of what it's like to be famous. That shit is like crack cocaine. Like, I can see why all these Hollywood people are bonkers because that stuff was very addictive. All the adulation at the end of the night was incredible. Um, I half designed a football board game.
Okay.
So I sort of have scratched that itch. It's something I'd like to go back to. Um, I haven't got anywhere close to football, sadly. Although I did work at Leicester City Football Club for a little while, so that was nice. I'd see some famous footballers back in the day.
The Fox. I worked at Sheffield United Football Club for
Did
several
you?
years. Yeah, I met Pele at Sheffield United Football Club. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because it's the oldest club in the world, they did a 150th anniversary or whatever it was, and Pele was the guest of honor, and he came walking through the ticket office one day. So he stopped to say hello to us all. Yeah,
Amazing.
pretty cool.
So yeah,
Right.
and then astronaut. I've got
Oh
nowhere
yeah.
near that. Nowhere near astronaut. Got nowhere
Picturing
near
an
space.
picturing an astronaut trying to do keepy uppies in space, like you can only do one, right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Right, let's jump on to the next question. The next question is from James Thomas. You have to summarize what a tester's primary mission for a team is in a snappy one-liner that can be applied across many contexts. What is your one-liner?
I think I'm basically just trying to make everybody awesome. That's
Interesting.
it.
Okay.
James actually has a really good answer for this. I want to dig it out while you're answering. But that's my answer. It's like I'm just trying to make everyone on my team look awesome.
Am I more of a? I feel like my answer, whenever I think about testing these days, I always fall back to information. So I feel like my job is to help the team get the information they're looking for as quickly as possible. So whether that is this fix gonna work? Does that fix work? Is this feature working? Do we think this is a good direction to go in? I'm like thinking, what information can I bring to the table to
Mm,
help the team make a decision and to help us keep moving forward? So I think for me, that's my main goal, is to help us, unveil that information, especially when we see the word tester. That's what I always go to. I think
mm,
slightly differently with the quality engineering side of it, because then I think I care a little bit more about how that information is being used.
mm,
But when I stick just my tester hat on, as per the question, yeah,
mm.
it's about helping the team get information as effectively and efficiently as possible.
Nice answer. James seems to have amazing answers to all the questions. He probably gets sick of me bigging him up, but I just think he's that awesome. But his most recent blog post. This is how he answers the question. He says, "I want to help whoever I'm working with build the best version of their thing, whatever best means for them, given the constraints they have."
Oof,
So definitely,
nice.
definitely go and check out a post because then he goes on to explain it into a little bit more detail.
It's
But
in the show notes, right? The wherever the show notes go.
that's a good point. Please like, share, subscribe, YouTube, share it with as many people as possible because I want to be able to point to the thing, like I see all my favorite YouTubers do, point to whatever that thing is called. So yeah, but yeah, thank you for that question, James. Very cool question. I think your answer was better than mine. It was very similar to Richard's. So this question is from AJ Wilson. Thank you, AJ. So the question is, what advice would you give the version of yourself that was 2 years into software testing, if you could? And what would older, wiser Richard advise new blood Richard?
Oof. We'll definitely replace Richard with Richards as well, so you can answer. You can answer as well. Um, Trying to think. 2 years into my career was what? So 2009, 2008. I think at that time I hadn't made the connection with manual/test cases and exploratory testing. and I hadn't made a connection where I realized that most of the bugs I was finding were coming from me and not from the instructions or test case steps that I was following. And I think if I was more aware of that ability, or that, the heuristics, oracles, exploratory testing charters, or even just the models that I was obviously clearly applying in my head as I was following these scripts, I think I would definitely go back and encourage them to be more aware that, these are just instructions. And I promise you right now, Richard, 2 years into your career, you are not following those instructions. You think you're following them, but you are not, right? you are absolutely checking 1,001 things, not just that one thing that little box at the bottom says. And you're also, your mind's filling with questions as you're following these steps, and you're going to go and find answers for them. So I'll be definitely that. Test cases, and they're not bad. I'm not saying they're a bad thing, but making me 2 years into my career realize that they're just guiding me, and with that guidance, I could have better shared the work I was doing and the value I was adding, instead of just ticking boxes on a test case.
Amazing. Amazing answer. Love that. What advice would I give myself that was 2 years into software testing? I think for me, so I had the complete and utter opposite experience to what you just described when I think about 2 years into testing Vern, or Richards, I should say. Because I was a games tester. My first testing role was games testing. And that's all the whole thing is exploratory. The closest you get to something that might look like a test case is a checklist. And it was all about, like, anyone who's played games or anyone who builds games knows that gamers are nefarious bastards. Like, they'll just look for any rule to exploit. They'll find a bug in your thing. They are mean. So that was cool. So I would have the opposite lesson. I'd say it would be more around, actually, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, get serious. Like, this is serious. Like, you're doing some cool stuff. So you aren't just playing video games all day. You are using a lot of skills and heuristics, and you're using your curiosity, you're using your communication, you're using your technical skills, because you're turning on debug mode on these consoles, and in those days I didn't really know anywhere near as much about computers as I do, like the actual hardware, as I did after I'd done that job. And so that, I was learning how to install stuff and uninstall stuff, and if the drivers needs updating and all this kind of crap. These are all things I never did before that job. So to say, look, man, get serious. Like, you are learning a lot. So go and see what you can do outside of games, because games, so especially in those days, it's not going to pay the bills, man. Like, you can save yourself at least 18 months. Go and do that.
I like it. So the main one there then would be, like, you were doing really good work, but like a lack of awareness that why you were doing such good work, and then maybe formalizing that into something that could be a bit more useful for you and others.
Games testers are absolutely incredible testers. I'd say, and obviously I'm biased because I've done these roles, but tech support and games testers, my God, like,
yeah, especially the tech support people that are allowed to, debug a little bit, and, try and, when you've got the multiple layers of it, and some of them actually do get, to do some debugging, and some, they gather information real quickly.
But do you know what it is? They are at the coalface. They are the first people who are going to get told when it doesn't work by actual customers.
And
those customers are going to be pissed.
Yes. So we were talking in the episode that's hopefully out by the time this one's out, right? We were talking about the impact. So they get to hear that impact, don't they? Yeah. They can hear it in their voice, they can hear it in their tone, they can hear the actual, the impact verbally at the same. So
straight from the horse's mouth, man. It's crazy. Yes. So if you've got tech support, customer success, whatever they're called, in your business, you need to go and make friends with those people because they've got so much intel. It's unreal. It is absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks for the
Right.
question. Hey.
Next question from Mark Gillott. Why is pineapple on a pizza still not illegal?
Oh my god.
What's your stance on this, Vern? Are you for or against?
Oh, Mark, you are man. I miss you, man. Mark Gillett, absolute. I think it's Gillett. It's Gillett, right? Let me
Is it
know, Mark.
Gillott? I don't know.
I think it's Gillett. Anyway, why is pineapple on pizza still not illegal? I do not know. As we're recording this, a general election has been announced in the UK, and I am going to be asking my local MP why it's not illegal because it needs to be. It's an outrage and it's an absolute disgrace. We need to remove this abomination from all menus everywhere, certainly in the UK, and at least in Leicester. And that's what I'm going to be on to my MP to sort out amongst all the horrors of. Anyway, let's not get political.
And if you share
Yeah,
the same views, if you share the same views as Vernon, Vernon will publish his letter for you to download and copy and sign and send it to your own MP. So,
yeah. You know what? It's one of those polarizing topics, isn't it? I'm definitely team no pineapple on pizza. It's
yeah.
outrageous. What about you, Rich?
So what does that translate to in the UK election? Now let's not go there.
Go there. Oh my god.
I'm known for being very much against pineapple on a pizza, but so yeah, I don't know why it's not illegal. It should be, but then also it got me thinking about context, just to bring it back into the world of testing a little bit. It pretty much is illegal in Italy. It might not be, in the book illegal, right? But you'd be pretty. I don't know that there'd be a lot of places that would react pretty badly.
There would be. You would lose a lot of social capital if you even asked the question. It's funny how that stuff works. So back in my first testing job, I worked with that team. I'm still friends with a lot of them now. They're all amazing. And one of them, salut, mon ami, my friend Olivier Bernal. Oh my god! I remember we went to eat lunch one lunchtime. He's French. So they've asked, I've ordered steak. You probably see where this is going. I've ordered steak. They've asked me how I would like the steak, and I said, well done. I thought I was going to be killed.
So thank you for listening, everybody. That's the end of today's question episode.
Man.
Well done.
I thought Ollie would kill me, bro. Like, he was living like, he's like, what are you doing? So, yeah.
Is that why you're a vegan now? Is that what happened? You got banned from...
No, it's not why I'm vegan. That's not why I'm vegan. But yeah, I'm definitely team no pineapple. Please let us know which team you are. Whether you're
in the comments as well now. Like if you in the comments, are you team well done, team medium, team rare, team blue?
Mm-hmm.
Team blue as in steak. Let's not get into football. All right, next question.
Let's not get into football. Our next question is from Leigh Rathbone. Yeah. So Lee's got this question's awesome. So what do you prefer, being a trainer, brackets, providing instruction and direction, close brackets, a mentor, a consultant, or a coach? So what do you prefer, being a trainer, a mentor, a consultant, or a coach?
See, I think it's a tricky question because for me, a very good consultant probably wears all three of those hats in an engagement, right? You're going to be switching between those hats. If my preference right now, where I currently am right now, I would probably go with, if I'm going to rank them, probably consultant, trainer, coach, mentor is my current thinking. At this moment in time, I very much want to be hands-on. I'm being back in an active, QE role. I'm really enjoying the hands-on aspect and learning a lot of new tech. The time this will go out, I've been sharing on LinkedIn about having to deal with Salesforce and getting my hands dirty with Salesforce. I'm learning stuff in AWS, step functions, lambdas. There's tons of third-party payment gateways I'm dealing with. There's a lot of very interesting tech that I'm getting to play with, and I think I'm enjoying that hands-on side of it. And at the same time, I'm also consulting with the client. So the client have their own internal QA team. and we're working together to bring them into a place where we leave, right? You always say the best thing of the main goal of a consultant is to not be there, right? I want to do myself out of the job. So to do myself out of a job, I need to coach them and mentor them and train them to help them get to a point where I'm not needed. And even though that's like, oh, I'm not needed, it's like, actually no, that's a win. Like that is the goal. So yeah, that's probably at the moment I would say, yeah, consultant, still absolutely love training, and then yeah, coach, mentor. How about yourself?
The answer for me is yes. I like
Next
all of those
question.
things. Yeah, next question, please. I probably zero surprise to anybody. Coach is probably first for me. Um, I'd probably say coach, mentor, consultant, trainer. But similar to Rich, it's not, you probably flow through all of these different positions and spaces and perspectives, you know, in any given day for sure, certainly in any given week, and absolutely in any given month and beyond. So, but I'm definitely since 2020 kind of time been really trying to use my coaching skills first and foremost. Definitely biased towards those. Well, at least, yeah, coaching behaviors maybe.
Really good question though. It's got me thinking. Like I said,
Yeah.
the immediate time I read it, like we had a quick look at these questions off air, and you were like, "My answer is yes," and I was like, "My answer is also pretty much yes," but like I probably do have like at the moment in time a preference. Like I've had daydreams of like wanting to be a full time trainer, go back into that space, but it's a lot of work, it's a lot of traveling. It's you don't have to do those things, but like usually. Um,
So,
Go on.
let's say not necessarily,
Not
Richard.
necessarily, no, um, but yeah, at the moment, I'm enjoying the fact that I'm in this. Like, I actually am in a true consultancy role where I do get to wear all those hats. And like, this great question because it's made me realize when I've been switching between them in the recent weeks as well. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Lee. Cheers.
right. Next question is from Deb Sherwood. Um, what does quality mean for you?
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
I immediately invoke the legend Jerry Weinberg at this point. Like, quality is value to some person. I really like that because it just gets me thinking. What kind of value to what kind of person? In which kind of situation? It's not just that different people value different things. It's like individuals value different things at different times and different moments. So it
Yeah,
really gets me thinking. So I really like that. There are a bunch of other ones. I need to have more definitions of quality. So if you're out there and you've got some different definitions of quality to Jerry's, as awesome as it is, please throw those into the comments section somewhere. Um, because I keep hearing them and I never write them down. There's some good ones out there. So that's the one that sticks because it's the one that I probably like the most.
I have a memory. I have a weird memory, but yeah, you. I can never get his. You know his surname better than I do. You. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that guy.
If he's listening, is now got his head in his hands like Vern's butchered it yet
Yeah, I
again.
think he did a series of blog posts. I just had a very quick Google for one, and I can see that there's already a few definitions of quality on his blog. But yeah, I agree with Vernon. Anyone out there that's got some definitions to share, I'd love to hear them. I also immediately go straight to Jerry's, value to some person. But I think if I was going to answer that, for me, obviously it depends what it is. If we're talking about software, then it, doing what it's meant to do. He's like first and foremost, like doing that in a responsive, efficient, pretty nice, fast way. Then you could obviously then bring in it looks nice and the UX and it's accessible. Like you could go quite far. But if I thought in general, like I am just such a functional person that I
Child.
just want things to be functional. Like, I don't really mind how they look or what, things like that. Like clothes, for example, they're very functional to me. I
You're
might
very
slightly higher quality than, buying all my t-shirts from, I don't know, £2 t-shirts or whatever, right? And then, but I'm not in the space of buying, cashmere tee. I don't even know what a good fabric would be, like silk t-shirts, right? I'm not in that space. I'm at the I'm above 60% polyester. I'm probably on the 80% the polyester, 20% cotton kind of space. But like that's my current view of quality, right? It's got to do what it does, and then I'm at the next one or two tiers up above, like basic, but I'm no way near the premium models
Oh,
of devices and gadgets of the world and stuff like that.
well, I just sad times for me. You just got me thinking. So, you know, I I got myself a new car in February, no, January. Got myself a new car in January, and so the old car has been sat on the drive up until tonight, literally right before we started recording this podcast.
It
Um,
literally was, yeah.
they came to collect the car, and I was gutted. So the new car is new. Like, I've had my old car is old. Like it is the car is 15 years old, and I've had it for 12 of those 15 years. So my car is like going from a car that you bought off Fred Flintstone from Bedrock, from the Flintstones, going into the Starship Enterprise. Like the car pretty much drives itself. And yet I want my old car. Like, so as they were driving away with the old car, I was like, oh man, because there was the functional side, like you were talking about, Rich, but there was all this emotion. There's all these experiences that I had in that car. And my wife was asking me, like, why are you so attached to this car? Like, it's just like you've sold other cars before. Why are you so? I was like, well, I didn't I didn't choose to get rid of this car. I would have kept this car if it hadn't started to go wrong a bit. I probably would have still been driving it now. I loved it. Like I didn't want a new car. I didn't want a self-driving car.
Yeah.
That was my car. You know that I had that car when my daughter was born. The first time I drove up to Scotland, which is still the most incredible drive I've ever done in my entire life up until this point. Beautiful, with my son, was in that car. You know, all the just oh man,
It's no, I
emotion.
honestly, I think
So
that's a
it's
great
not
analogy. Yeah.
functional qualities. There's other qualities that have got nothing to do with how well it works. Literally, my car is broken and I'm sad that it's gone. That doesn't make any sense. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
You reminded me of those stories you see all the time when like people have had to sell their cars for like financial reasons or whatever, and then they get them back later in life, and like it's completely different. Like you if you got 10 people to look at that car with you, they're all going to be like, I don't want that car, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the best car. like if
Oh,
I had all the money, I would get this car running again, and it would be my
yeah,
car, and I would keep it. All right,
yeah.
but obviously not the case.
Sad times for
Uh,
me.
Sad
Sad
times.
times. So this is from Mark Tomlinson, Mr. T. So Mark asks to test or not to test.
Is that the question? Hey! So, to test or not to test, that's the question.
Oh, well,
That went straight over your head the first time, didn't it? I want to think it's like a noddy question, but actually it's a genuinely good type of question. And the thing it gets me thinking about is,
yeah.
and it's going to go a little bit meta, but it is a meta question. Is there ever a situation where we don't test? Because I'm not convinced there is. Because if the devs built it, they've probably done some aspect of testing. But even before they built it, somebody probably reviewed a requirement, or somebody else went, I think that's okay. I think that makes sense. Right? So maybe a tester didn't test it, but is there ever a situation where not a single test has taken place at any point on the left to right software development lifecycle until the point it got to production? Is that even possible?
Since you were going meta, I was going to say yes, because there's other variables to play, right? So when, you might you might be. I was thinking of like old software on an old machine that you're about to throw in the bin. No, you're not going to test that. Or maybe there's something that you're going to decommission. So you're not going to test the software. You might test something else related to that, but you wouldn't test the software itself. You're testing that it's been decommissioned. Because there's an old, I say old. The first software testing meetup I went to, James Back was there, and he posed this question to the meetup, which was, I'm carrying you're carrying a calculator, and you trip and it falls to the ground. How would you test if it's still working? And then, at some point somebody will say, where were you even going? Like, why? I wouldn't test it. Maybe you were walking to the bin to throw it away. Like, why are you even testing it? And that's what this question makes me think of. It's like you can imagine quite a broad set of situations where you wouldn't need to test, because, like, I don't care about testing this thing. I'm throwing it in the bin. Like, things getting decommissioned. It's trash. We've upgraded it. Got a new car.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see the angle you're going down. I think the first one, the decommission one, just got me thinking, how do you know it's been decommissioned? So how do you know that it's actually gone?
You're right. I think that's more a question of testing the platform or the infrastructure potentially than the software, because the software,
Okay.
do you know what I mean? There's a load of assumptions there. It's such a good question, because there's a load of assumptions that you have to like realize that you've made and articulate somehow to it's a really good question. Very interesting.
That is a really good question, Mark. I don't know if we've answered it very well, but it's.
No, we
I
haven't.
know what you meant by sending us that question anyway. So.
Well, how would you answer it, Mark? Clever clogs. How would you do it? Eh?
Yeah, so anyone who's asked the question, we're going to tag you all, and you've got to answer your own question as well.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Right, so I think let's try just a couple more.
Okay.
So the next question is from Anna Roseman. Testing mindset. Are you born with it?
Oh, are you asking me? Have I got to go first? Okay. I think some people are and some people are not. And I think you can learn it. You can acquire it. You can adopt it. You can cultivate it. Nurture it like a child grows and realizes its full potential. That's what I think. So you might be a natural, like I am with the football, like Messi, naturally talented and gifted.
The
Just didn't get
DJing
my
football
opportunity with
astronaut.
Liverpool. I'm still available. Yeah, but some people can learn the skills or the mindsets, or cultivate that perspective.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
think
reckon?
so. Yeah, I don't know, being born with stuff always throws me into a space where I know I am not I have no authority to answer those questions. Like people talk about, genetics and all this stuff, and I just know such a I don't know what the phrase I want is, right? But I know so very little that I never would even talk with any authority on that topic. So can you be born with things, yes or no? I don't know. But I definitely, with my little 3-year-old that I've got now, like Finley, like I can see how you could encourage and nurture the
Mm.
curiosity side of life, right? I've witnessed some parents just like give answers, right, just straight away. Whereas, not saying I'm doing this intentionally, but perhaps it's because I'm also curious. There's been times where I've encouraged Finley to think about it himself and try and get him to a point about getting him to be a bit more specific, maybe saying, he loves these little magnet tiles that we have, and he's like, "Oh, do you think we can build a boat?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you think? You know, like, how are you going to try and start building a boat?" Like, instead of sometimes, I would just build a boat for him and go, "Hey, there you go, there's a boat," right? As opposed to now, it's kind of like, where would the next piece go? Where would this piece go? And just trying to encourage that critical thinking side of things. So yeah, I agree with you. I think you can nurture it. I don't know about the being born with it stuff, because I'm a bit skeptical, and I don't know enough about that space to learn. I think there's a lot of physical traits that you are definitely born with. Like, there's a lot of, I think that side's been kind of heavily proven, but I'm not sure on the mindset. Obviously, I do know evolutionally wise, right? We're born with a lot of, instincts, as we call them, but I'm not sure like about the other side of it. But yeah, definitely can be nurtured, and like you said, it can definitely be taught now. And I think there's lots of great people out there already in this industry doing lots of great training on that very topic.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I've always enjoyed understanding how things work and looking for connections between things, and I think that's helped me in my career. That definitely feels like it was a foundational part of my testing mindset. Like, what even is a testing mindset, man? Like, what do you think a testing mindset is?
But yeah, I'm very similar to you. I've always been curious about how things work. I think, yeah, how things hang together, how things are built, the process about building stuff. Like, I'm definitely curious about this stuff. And we mentioned it in a couple of pods ago, didn't we? In the software space now, my go-to is I can't work on this tech stack and this product until I have a better model in my head of how
Yeah,
this thing is hanging together, because
yeah.
I don't want to treat it like a black box. It's so alien to me to treat it as a big black box and stuff going in and stuff coming out. It, like, makes me so uncomfortable. Like, I need to know that there's not just an if statement in there that says if enter 1 return 10, right? I need to know that. All right, so like that desire to always want to know more and how things work. And as I said, I've never said necessarily in like great depth. Like, in software I want to go great depth, but just generally in life, it's kind of like I've always got a little bit of curiosity about how things work, how they hang together. Like, things that, like, there's been other things that work recently, like policies around stuff, and like you ask your people leader what's the policy, and they tell you, and my first reaction's always, why is it that? How did it get to that? Well, what was the journey? Like, there's been things at lunch, like, they do builders lunch and dojos and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that looks great. Why do we have them? Who made them? When did they start? Right? It's like, it can go too far, right? To the point where you just, you're the 5Y person going around all the time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been that really curious to understand things, and I don't know where it come from, but I'm guessing, I'm going to assume it's from childhood at some point.
We're all curious as kids. Anyone who's around kids, who's had kids, you knows what it's like to be subject to that amount of curiosity. I mean, it can be pretty intense. But if you can like not crush that and nurture it, then I think it's just a good thing for us to have, regardless of whether we're software testers or not.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good time to go into the final question, Vern.
Okay, let me bring up the final question. Nah. So this question is from Melissa Fisher. Thank you so much for this question. Melissa asks, if you could jump in a TARDIS and go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
So we decided to take this one, didn't we, as more like outside of testing, right? And not, because like we had the question from AJ. So yeah, what would I tell my younger self? Get therapy as soon as possible. Oh, God knows. Yeah, I don't know. You got any answers yet? I'm trying to think. What would I tell my younger self?
Oh gosh, I'm deliberating with myself about how vulnerable to be. Like, is this psychologically safe for me to share? Is it safe out here?
That's a judgment for you, I guess. Very similar to the quality judgment.
I would tell my younger self. I don't know if it would work, but I would tell my younger self to be more confident. And I would also tell my, it's such a weird duality. I would tell myself is to be more confident, but at the same time, confidence is not enough. You need evidence. Because I've always felt like I was going to be successful and achieve certain things, but then they didn't happen. Because anyone who knows me knows that at least some years ago I was not the most proactive individual in the world. Let's put it that way. But now I am. And I think if I'd realised that a lot sooner, that the talent isn't enough and the confidence isn't enough, you need to actually take action and just generate evidence for yourself. It's not even for anybody else. It's just generate the evidence for yourself, so that when those moments of self-doubt happen, um, David Goggins calls it like going into the cookie jar. Like he stores all these,
Yeah.
he puts all these his successes into a. I don't know if it's a physical cookie jar, but a mental one. He just draws them out. He's like, this awesome thing happened. Sick. That was me. Oh, I did this thing. That was amazing. Um, that's the advice I give myself. That got pretty heavy. Sorry, man.
Yeah, well, I think mine might just get a little bit heavier then as well, because I think I would probably tell my younger self to like be kinder to myself and realize that I'm worthy and I'm important, and to give myself, you know, give myself praise, like have this cookie jar that you just mentioned, right, and actually put it in there, instead of my mentality has always been, well, you could have done that better, right? You could have done that differently. So even if something went very well, I'm immediately on the 1% of negativity, and I ain't putting anything in that cookie jar. I'm adding it to the list of failures to beat myself up with and keep knocking myself back down.
Mm.
So I think for me, yeah, it would be be kinder on myself, embrace the successes a lot more, and then yeah, finally, I would say just take care of myself a bit more. Like I've had so many burnouts in my life, like just prioritize my own well being in a more positive way, I would say.
Yeah. God.
Deep
So
to end on.
I was going to say, man, there's so much stuff going through my head right now. Melissa, thank you so much for that question. You got me thinking. I'll answer. I can next time. Next time I'm in the same place as you, Melissa. I'll happily go into some more depth on this question because it's a bloody good one. But
It's
yeah,
such a good question, I think, and I think it's yeah, it's a question I feel like you should be asking yourself all the time as well. Like not just this like one-off
hey,
thing. It's a question that you should
right.
be just bringing yourself up every 3, 6, 9 months or whatever.
I mean,
You know,
that's what
that's what
we
we should do.
tell our teammates and our customers and our colleagues to do. Oh, we're agile, so you got to reflect and celebrate and what you can do and not just be down on yourself and then step out of the office, as it were. And I do none of that. I'm
Yep.
trying to do more. I'm trying to do more of it. That is for sure. Thank. I'm really appreciating this question. You've got me refocused to go away and reflect some more. Um,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I amassed some reflecting this exercise to do some end of year reflection, which I never actually done because the start of my year was so utterly bonkers that I never got around to doing it. Um, but I could share that in the show notes, maybe. I think I will. I'll share the show notes. I'll dig it out. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great way to end the pod.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for everyone who shared those questions with us. Again, we want to do more of this kind of style. We are going to keep interchanging with our usual, what's going on in the world of Richard and Vernon and our own testing jobs. But we're going to drop it at A&A email all the time. So whenever you've got a question for us, let us know. If you see a question from somebody else on another thread that you think's worth asking, tag us on that thread and tell us, to maybe add this one to our list. So yeah, please do send us your questions and subscribe, follow, feedback, like, all those wonderful things.
Mm-hmm. Please share. We appreciate all the shares. We appreciate all the comments. Still blown away that people are listening. Appreciate all the downloads. And if you've got questions like Richard, send them in. But also remember, if you ask the question, don't be shy about answering the question yourself. Maybe turn it into a post of your own, and share the answer with us, and we can give it a signal boost on the pod. But I'd love to hear some of the answers to these questions. They're really good questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Goodbye, everyone.